this week. This week we're going to be working on Tritons. In D&D lore, the blue-skinned, green-haired, basically humans. And so what I was telling Colleen and Ethan, who are joining us today, to be this direction for camera, I don't want them to be like that. I kind of want them to be more kind of like the fishmen from One Piece, and we were literally just discussing before. I was like, we should probably start streaming this.
Someone should put a picture of that up at the top for those of us, me, who hasn't seen One Piece.
I mean, they're basically just like fish people, really. But hold on, give me
that
one
makes
second.
me think of Sahagin, though.
I mean, kind of ish. Like, oh god, brain. Arlong is a good example. Arlong is. I'm gonna put up a picture of him, but Arlong is basically based off a shark. God, I'm trying to remember which exactly shark it's called. The one with like the sawtooth. It's not like a. Here, hold on. God, Discord, why? There you are. Oh, cool. Yep. Don't show the picture. That'd be great. You know. Like that's a good example.
Sorry,
It's good.
I'm just putting out the tweet. And retweeting. Okay.
Oh. You good? Oh god. Oh no. Oh, this is gonna be hard to do. Oh, Discord was messing up because.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is different than I thought it was. No.
Trying to find another one that's not like the shark, because it looks like a lot of the big characters are based off of shark people.
Yeah.
Oh, there was like the octopus one that I saw that was really cool too. Like,
cause like, to me, like, so I've been given my kiddie pool of water races over in West Marches, and from what I've gleaned, there's like the merfolk, which are like mer people, the Sahagin, which are like shark people, and then there's the Triton, which are like if merfolk had legs and were Aquaman. I can't hear you, Ethan. I'm so sorry.
I forgot to take off push to talk. Sorry. When I read about Triton, like that's the first thing that came to mind too. Is like Aquaman. Yeah, like literally watched the movie Aquaman, and that's how I pictured Triton races. Yeah.
Yeah, that's boring to me.
I mean, they even have that sense of like justice too. Like they're very stuck up. Like, well, not stuck up. They're like. They've got like a...
They came from the plane of water chasing krakens, tritons, Sahagin, and other like deep sea threats to protect the material plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's their history.
They're very lawful.
Yeah. And I don't know, like... I don't watch One Piece, so I don't know what you want, like...
I mean, all I said was I want them aesthetically like that. I don't care, like, I don't really know too much about the culture of the fishmen in One Piece that much.
I mean, aesthetically, like, if you... Let me put this on stream, 1 second. Because, like, aesthetically, this is what we're looking at. Did it copy? Copy image.
So, are they mammalian or reptilian?
They're from the reptilian world.
They're from the reptilian world? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're looking at.
If you want, I mean, that's just like one of them. There's like they do a bunch of different fish. It wasn't just like the shark.
Yeah,
one,
it's just like aesthetically. If you want that, you might want to do Sahagin instead.
Mm-hmm. Well, Again, that's only one. There's like a bunch of other ones too. I'm trying to find like a good picture, but like it keeps bringing up either Arlong, like only the named ones really.
Yeah, I like this quote on more. I'll put the quote in chat. As the Tritons imagine if the elves spent a few centuries far beneath the sea where their arrogance and pretension could grow undisturbed, at least the Tritons spent that time fighting Sahaga and worse, so you know you can count on them in a fight. Brigo Stoneheart, sea captain. That is I like that, comparing them to the elves, especially like the classic. It's very like stereotypical elf imagery. But so they're reptilian.
So like maybe you could. They are reptilian. What about their appearance is boring to you?
They look too human to me. It's just like to me they just look like human with blue skin and green hair. Like there's nothing really. I don't know. I think it's boring. There's so many other directions. Like there's
aesthetically speaking, you think they're boring.
Oh yeah, aesthetically speaking, I think they're boring.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I wasn't saying culturally. I was saying aesthetically, I don't like the way they look.
So, what about what if they had more scales? Like, what if they had instead of hair? What if it was more like tendrily, like like what jellyfish have? That sort of wavy, tendrily kind of stuff for hair.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Because I always think that jellyfish tentacles are like really pretty.
Agreed.
And then, for eyebrows, you can get into either really fine scales, or you could get into some other kind of texture instead of actual hair. And then you can get into the different shaped ears, like the fins.
Yeah, like if only there was a draw tool on Google Docs.
Oh wait, I have my phone. There is a drawing tool. I wonder if I can use it on mobile. We'll find out together.
Because they could be like the fin ears, right? Like they look like fins.
Here.
I'm gonna get the picture of Arlong off the stream now.
Okay.
So moving. Will you guys check that out to keep conversation going?
Yeah.
So you don't have you don't have a plan culturally what you want to do with him.
No, not really. I don't really have a plan culturally. I just know that just the design that they have within canon D&D is really boring. There's a third person in here.
So
oh, that's me on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was just like, what?
I am doing a very quick little doodle that I'm gonna put on the stream.
It's okay.
A second.
Talking.
But yeah, I have nothing against the culture that's been listed within D&D already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is coming up with something for your world, because I actually find the Tritons super interesting. I didn't know that about them, that they came from the water plane to protect the material. They sent a convoy of volunteers who were fighters and mages to protect the material plane from
Kraken.
Krakens and evil things in the water. And I think that's super dope
No, that is interesting. I do like that.
Like culturally speaking, in D&D, that's actually probably like now my favorite, like one of the coolest things I've done, and I would 100% like I would play a Triton in Adventure League now. I would bring like AL as my +1 book and play a Triton as like a paladin or a druid. I think that's really fun, and I'm right now I'm trying to think of a way to incorporate it. And the thing that I've got like in my mind right now is the thing that they're protecting their world from, like either hasn't been seen since like because it's only been 500 years,
700,
right? 700 years. So I'm like, sorry, I'm getting echo from somebody. In 700 years, this thing that they were protecting the reptilian world for hasn't been seen.
Mm-hmm.
Who won again? Was it the mammals or the reptilians who won?
Won what?
Or, like, who won the war?
There was no war between the mammals and the reptilians.
Oh, it was the angels and the devils, right?
No, it was some of the gods versus the mortals and like a few of the other gods.
Okay.
And that only happened in the mammalian world.
Okay. I think I'm tracking.
So I've just got this like they're like the paranoid like doomsday preppers that live at the bottom. Like that's what I'm picturing, a bunch of like Spartan-esque paranoid doomsday preppers like waiting at like the Mariachi's trench for something to come out. And everyone's like, "You guys are crazy!"
God, like Pacific Rim.
Kinda, yeah. Like that's what I'm picturing right now. It is like they're preparing for something that hasn't been seen for 700 years since the thing happened.
Yeah, and that'd be funny. Oh, and also interesting. I say funny because it's interesting. It'd be funny if like you said, they're paranoid. Like most places, most people would be like, "Oh, we haven't seen them in 700 years. They're probably gone now." Like they're just like, no, they're waiting. They're waiting for us to slip up. I just know it. They're gonna it's gonna happen, and we're not. No, we have to be prepared at all times.
That's like the mentality that I come from. Like, that I, spent the early part of my adulthood in, and so I like it makes perfect sense to me that if they spent however long like the reptilian world existed for fighting these things or whatever it is, and then the Catasandra happened and everything went dark, and they're like, we can't, like, the moment we relax is the moment they show up, like.
I love it.
All right, so that would probably go under
history.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of, but like, excuse me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, customs, folklore.
So it would be something along the lines of like, Tritons are constantly just constantly. I've been using this word a lot lately. I'm going to use it. Except that's not how you spell. There we go. Tritons are constantly vigilant for a threat they haven't seen since the Catasandra. Vigilant for a threat they haven't seen since the Catasandra. The mindset is that the second they relax is when it will return.
Oh man, this is a dope looking Triton.
So like that, Ethan? That look good?
Yes.
Okay, so what do they do? What do they do to keep vigilant? I would imagine it's just their, like, I don't want to say,
so,
oh, God.
When I crap, what was the name of that pass? So you take this pass to go kind of from the Mediterranean to, like, it crosses through Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 2 countries on either, I wish I could remember, the Suez Canal. And so I went out to smoke, and there's a helicopter circling us, there's a tank and a flatbed truck following us.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in the middle of the Egyptian desert. And every, like, couple hundred yards, there was a shack, like a guard shack, right?
Mm-hmm.
With, like, mannequins in it. There wasn't, not every single one of them had, like, a person in it, but it was made to look like there was somebody, a mannequin in there, like, standing there with, like, they'd have, like, a sling across, so it looked like you had a weapon. So I'm picturing things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a very, like, Spartan-esque military structure and order and discipline
Mm-hmm.
and vigilance, like on the surface, right? Like the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you want them to live for? In D&D, I think they live for 200 years.
I'd be cool with that. I don't change, like, how old people get that often. Like, I think
we
we
just changed turtles.
Turtles and goblins are what we've changed. That's really it.
Yeah, I just remember changing turtles because everybody was kind of like, why would a turtle-based race only live 80 years?
Yeah,
like,
we
what?
thought that was stupid. No, 500.
Yeah. Because that's the thing that, like, the older ones would probably be more like, we have to be vigilant, like, we have to be weak, because they'd be like 3 generations removed from the Catasandra.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath them, like, the youth would kind of be like, okay, like, they're never coming, like, can we stop? Like, I'm tired of waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do trident drills and, like, march around or swim around, and tired of having to go to the weekend, come to the fortress every weekend.
Mm-hmm. So would this mean that basically all Tritons are mandated to do military service from one age to another?
That's how I pictured it. I don't know if that's something you want to keep.
No, I think that'd be great. What age to what age are we thinking? Like, because obviously I feel like you're mandated. You can keep going if you want to, but you're only mandated for a certain amount of years.
They reach maturity at age 15 and can live up to 200 years.
So what if we do from 15 to, like, 80?
I think that's fine, yeah.
Yeah. So that'd still be under customs. All Tritons are mandated to be in military service from the age.
Alright, I've got something for you.
Sorry, 15 to 80.
Now, tell me what you think of this. Oh. There you go.
I like that. I like that a lot more. I like that a lot more. It makes them more fish-like to me.
Yeah, I tried to extend the bridge of the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Add some of that ridge right there. Make their ears fin-like, but not like, and a little bit elvish, but not like, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but not like merfolky with the different like spikes or anything. And then, just really make those hair, at least for this girl, like jellyfishy.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot.
And then the eyes for this one are like sclera, like all one color. I don't know if you want to keep that or.
No, that's cool. I like that.
Cool. So that's what I've been doing for the past 10 minutes. What's up?
That's good. I like it. I like that. I like that a lot more than what we're given. I know. I feel like some people are gonna be like, "That's not that different," but it's just, it's different enough to me, right? Like you get,
Yeah.
it's like, it's different enough to make it different, like to make it more fish-like than just human with blue skin and green hair.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's great. Tritons are mandated to be in the military service from the ages of 15 to 80 years old. This ensures that they have a full force when the threat returns. All right, so we're gonna go with their militaristic, which I like. I like that a lot. All right, what?
I'm just picturing a bunch of Jon Snows but fish people. Like it's so like that's what I'm picturing right now. And, like that's not a bad thing.
Oh god, like I haven't watched Game of Thrones since the Purple Wedding, so.
The Purple Wedding?
Yeah, the Purple Wedding. But yeah, I haven't seen since the Purple Wedding, really.
Yeah. So values.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
What's the government at? There's not. This happens. Is that under customs or culture?
Government, I think, is under. It would be under the. Wouldn't that be not like daily life, because that's just a thing that goes on daily?
I think what happened is like the last time we really got into the government was like the Wood Elves, because they're so their own like things. So, and somebody like your brother asked us like what about the government? You're like, oh, and then we went off on that.
Yeah.
Like.
I would say put that under culture. I'm gonna be bossy.
The thing is, we don't really have like a culture section.
Oh, I thought that was why that was thrown out there.
Well, I mean, because that is technically government is part of their culture, so it's just it's just where would it go specifically?
So I guess put that under customs.
That could make sense. I could see where that would be.
I mean,
I know. I'm not saying like I'm not going like you're wrong, Colleen.
I was just gonna explain. Like, I mean, customs can be either informal or formal, and formal customs would technically be created by the government. Like, if they were like literal, like obey this. I'm stretching.
That's true. I mean, that's fair.
I gotta prep before I stretch that hard. But still.
So
norms. Yeah, I could see it under norms.
Yeah, it could go under a couple things depending on what on the stuff. Because also like it depends. Each culture's like government, like who the hierarchy is also dependent on that culture. Like say a culture whose entire culture is mainly focused on their religion would probably go under the religion section, like we did for the Duergar.
Yeah.
For like say when we did for APEC, that'd probably go under their values, because they value destiny. So that'd go there. So it just depends. I think if we're going for a military section, it probably would go under customs, because that just having a military, like, having a military like government, have a military like way of life, would definitely impact their customs and how they do things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where it would go. So the only I don't know much about the military, and
Ethan just walked away.
Ethan walked away, but you were also like you were in a military family. You yourself were in the military, yes. So you at least have some insight on how that works.
What about it?
I need help coming up with how that would go.
Oh, how the military works. Okay, so basically, there's gonna be a very strict hierarchy of you're gonna have named ranks. There's gonna be usually there's enlisted rankings, and then there's like officer rankings. You can enlisted rankings are like your average Joe enlisted, you know. And then officer rankings are like the people who boss around your average Joe, and Ethan's about to have way more opinions on this than I. I was trying to explain enlisted rankings versus officer rankings.
I mean, in what?
Because like I was saying, like enlisted rankings are like your average Joe, and then officer rankings are like your average Joe went to college and then bosses around your average Joe.
So like that's, I mean, like that, I would pretty much say the same thing.
Your average
in reality,
Joe is education.
Yeah, in reality, so like if we, like let's rewind time. We'll go back to the 1700s. Right, so like, have you seen the movie Patriot with Mel Gibson?
No.
Okay, so it's set in the Revolutionary War, and basically Mel Gibson is kind of like in a lot of trouble with the British, like the very formal, structured military, because he targeted officers. He would purposely ambush and you see that guy with the big ass hat on the horseback, shoot him first, because they're expected to keep the average Joe there fighting, because battle breaks out and you're kind of like, I'm out, like. So that was something like they were expected to keep everybody in line and stay there and fight and lead them into fighting, is more so the classical answer than somebody with an education nowadays. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, as far as like rankings, it basically is how many people you're in charge of. As an officer, your first rank, you'll have probably 10 to 20 people, and then like stay at 10 to 20 for like the first like 2 ranks, and then the third rank you'll get like 30 people, and like 60, and it goes up and up as you scale up. And same thing with your enlisted, just much smaller numbers.
All right, so since we're doing a militaristic like government system, basically, would the highest rank, obviously the highest rank officer would be the leader.
I used I said Spartan-esque when I talked about them, and they just had a king. Like if that's, you could do it that way. I
mean, technically the king would be the highest officer, basically. Yeah, in some ways, yes and no. Like, even if you look at the president, the big difference the president has is like he's the commander in chief. Yeah. Doesn't have like he doesn't have like fucking like authority over every single thing.
Yeah. Government's hard because there's, I don't know. You could make it so in times of war, you can have 5-star. So the highest ranking officer is currently is a 4-star. In every single branch, there's a bunch of different 4 stars, and then they'll point a you are technically the highest ranking one over us all.
Mm-hmm.
But in a time of war, they'll appoint a 5-star who's like even higher than just the one in charge of the Navy, like in charge of all war operations. So you can do something like that. Like they have whatever the ranking system is for themselves, and then they all get together and appoint him, and he sits there for however long he wants until he retires, and then they appoint another one, kind of like the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he dies in office or in battle, then they appoint another one.
I like that. That'd be interesting. So the question is, how do we write that down?
There's a council of officers of such and such rank. The highest ranking. There's a small. Yeah. The council of sitting officers of X rank. They appoint one of their own to lead the council, and he is dubbed. I called them conches for West Marches.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Reef. Yeah, Reef. Conch was the
Reef
was the
of
religious
Conch was the
symbol.
religious
Yeah,
one,
it was the religious one. Yeah, called them the Reefs. Of X rank, who appoints a leader of, and this X rank +1, who presides until he dies or retires, and a new one is appointed. I think that's kind of how the Joint Chief of Staffs work.
Okay. So the question is, my brain. The question becomes, I guess, do we want to make our own, ranking system, or should we just kind of steal one?
They're all kind of, I don't know. You could just use a translator and see if the words how the words come out. Like, what languages do Tritons speak? They speak Common and
Primordial, right?
I think it is Primordial. Yes, Common and Primordial. So let's look up a Primordial translator.
I mean, the only thing I worry about, like, doing translators that already exist is eventually, in the future.
What language is Primordial based off in your game then?
I have not thought about that.
Oh.
I'm just saying, like, in the future, I will be constructing conlangs for every single language in my world.
Well, if you can think of a language that you want to base Primordial off of, that will kind of... they're nautical, you could just go with the nautical ranks, because I know those. Let's pause. I think... Pause there before we go down that rabbit hole.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So then what I'll do is I will say I will make it bold and underlined just to make it so that, and we'll do like insert ranking here at a later date. There. We'll have that later. We'll work on that at some other point. But for now, we'll be like, this is where it'll go. It'll go right here. This is a ranking system. So okay. What is the normal life? Like, what does a normal life look like? Well, I would assume it would probably depend on if you are enlisted at the moment, and when you're not.
So you can't really spend, like, if you spend 50 years in that sort of like lifestyle, it messes you up.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine there's a, like, on guard status and an off guard status.
Mm-hmm.
So like kind of think of like active duty and reserve. So you spend X amount of time, like we'll say 4 years on guard, where you like have to report to like you have to live at like a castle or a fortress, and then like 4 years or just once a month you have to like report to a fortress and be like, hey, look, I still have my armor and my weapons, and like I still know how to do things, and like yeah, so like that's does that make sense? I lost my train like halfway through the thought.
No,
Sorry.
I was picking up what you're putting down. So 2 statuses for like for a Triton. There is like I forgot what are the 2 words you said because I liked those.
Active, or call it on guard and relaxed, I guess.
On guard.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm gonna put these in quotes so that way.
Makes me think I have a rap yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. So it's 1 ongoing sentence. There we go. There are 2 statuses for Triton: on guard and relaxed. When on guard, you are in active. They are in active duty. They are in active duty. How would I describe active duty? Because
where you report you're stationed at a fortress where you just you're stationed at a fortress for 4 years. After the 4-year period, you rotate into a reserve or relaxed status where you have to report to a fortress once a month.
Damn, Ethan is just rocking this culture.
Right. I think Ethan out of all of us is the best person to have right now for this.
True.
When on guard, they are in active duty, where they are stationed in a fortress for
4
years before they are transitioned to
relaxed status for 4 years.
For another. So every 4 years they kind of switch in between.
Yep. So in the military you have like deployable and non-deployable statuses. And so to kind of like relax and you can spend time with family. That's like the best way that I could think of to do that in a setting where you have to do it for 60 plus years. So early life, because I don't know that. So that makes me think that a lot of their, you kind of look at Castle Black from going back to Game of Thrones. It's like a fortress, and then like a couple miles back from the fortress, you have like a city, and they'll like, that's how I'm picturing a lot of it, like along, and then a long wall along like that, like I said, the Marianas Trench. That's what I like. Sorry, there's a bajillion things like buzzing around up here, and so I'm like trying to.
You're good.
I could tell you're excited to talk about something that you're an expert in.
You're super excited.
I'm not an expert.
You're compared to the rest of us.
You were enlisted. You're an expert compared to us, especially.
So like, I don't know where you want to, how to, where that would go. Because I'm like.
That is me.
Okay.
Can you send me that code?
Sure, yeah.
Thanks, sorry.
I'm picturing like I keep going back to the Spartans too, so like from a young age they're put into like a very militaristic type setting to instill these values and these things in them from a young age. Because that's all boot camp is a crash course in the skill set and the mindset you need to be in the military. Mm-hmm. And the longer you have and the earlier you start it, the easier it is to implement it.
So basically, early schooling would be boot camp, basically. Like, from the second you're able to walk in.
Like, more military school than boot camp.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah.
They have uniforms. They have uniform inspections. They march class to class. They have a certain way that they have to respond, like, and talk to each other. Mm-hmm. There's a class leader, like JROTC military school on, like, steroids. Like, it's everywhere. Like, that's, you're taught how, like, at a young age, you're taught how to, like, you remember the mission in Monster Hunter where you have to fight the big ass thing and you have to, like, carry cannonballs and bolts to fill it. So, like, a child over the age of 13 would be expected to do that. They would, like, there would be drills like, oh, we're under attack. So then they would go and grab, like, early childhood memories would be like doing a monthly drill that the fortress has and the city has where they have to prepare to, like, repel an attack. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, or do I sound crazy?
No, that sounds good.
I don't know, like, where to put all. I'm just talking, and I don't know where to.
I mean, this would probably go under norms in daily life, I would imagine. Yeah. Because this is, like, schooling. This is, like, that kind of stuff. So
yes, it's all very structured and like, it's all very structured and there. So that. Yeah, early life, just life in general for a Triton is very structured and predictable. From a young age and throughout their life, they are ingrained with values to work as a unit, as a whole. So I just had an idea for the officers, the commanders of the fortresses. How big? Because I keep going back to this. I picture, like, she said Pacific Rim, and, like, if you saw Megalodon.
Did you
see Megalodon?
Yeah, you know how I haven't seen the movie, but I know what a Megalodon is.
So in the movie, the Jason Statham, like, B horror movie, the floor of the Marianas Trench is actually just, like, a thick layer of mist. And something, the Megalodon, they break it with a little submersible, and then the Megalodon's like, oh wait, I can go through that, so it goes through that. And so I'm picturing, like, the Marianas Trench, and they just know there's something down there, like, and so then this thing comes out of the trench, and like, there's just fortresses along the trench, however long this trench is. I hate talking to myself.
No, I'm listening. You're not talking to yourself. You're talking to us.
We're just
listening.
intently listening.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm really fucking intrigued with what's going on right now. Don't mistake my silence for boredom. Like, I'm fucking. Like,
so however long this trench is, there would be a guard station, like a big fortress, and it's a huge, like the Great Wall of China. It's the Great Wall of China along the Marianas Trench. So however long it is, I think we should figure that out so we can decide, like. It's 10 miles long, and there's a fortress every, like, 2 miles. So there's 5 fortresses, 5 council members, and then they appoint a 6th one over them. And then, like, I would be typing this out, but my space bar is broken.
Oh no!
Yeah.
If you want to type it out, I will intermittently put space bars for you.
Like.
I mean, you typing this without space bars will just reflect, like, how excited you are.
Just reflects how. And I just don't know. is that under? Where does that go?
I would probably go into norms, because this is just like the way they live. Like this is a normal life, normal daily life.
Yeah, 5 fortresses along a 10-mile trench. There's this city behind each fortress. Yeah. The commander of each fortress.
Mm-hmm.
Sits on the council. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna fill up my water because like my mouth's starting to get dry from talking so fast.
Okay.
Alright, so yeah, we're saying five fortresses long, a 10-mile. I see what he's trying to put in. And each fortress, okay. So yeah, 5 fort. Okay, so this would probably go. I'm gonna move this just so you're aware, Ethan, because this is probably this would probably go right there.
From a young age,
how long is 10 miles? I'm trying to like picture that in my head because like it seems like a big number and obviously it's like a big.
It's not that big. Like having 2 miles between each city would not be like a huge. You would almost just think like if the city of Denver was like that's and all its suburbs like that's like how it's looking in my head. It would not be it's like the Vatican like if you were to and even, it's probably a little bit bigger than the Vatican but like actually you don't know how like long the Vatican is but yeah like that's you look at like the massive ocean and then there's this one geographical location and the Triton hub of the Triton culture is there and you don't get much out of it. Like most of the Tritons that you would probably see are people that like are out of the like the age range and either chose to leave and then like I've spent all 80 years of my life like sitting behind this fucking wall like let's go see what's out here and then there'd be people that are like I'm tired of sitting behind this wall because I'm going crazy I'm out of here like
you probably see some AWOL people too like AWOL
that's Tritons. What I just that's what I just that second thing was
okay
yeah so you wouldn't get a lot of like
so it would basically be just one giant city surrounding this trench basically
exactly with a little like depending on how big you want and how densely populated you want them to be. I think like it's just basically one big city with a giant wall and like fortresses behind it and people are stationed at each fortress and they just the on-guard people are stationed there and they have to be there every day and they'll probably like you remember the entrance to Mulan? So you'd show up like Monday morning and you're all standing there in like ranks with like your trident and like a spear thrower or whatever they have. And it's like okay, like today Adam you have to go to guardhouse X like okay and so you'd spend the day there and then you'd come back and then the next day guardhouse Y and it would be stationed between the fortresses on the left and the right of you and you'd be with people there and then does it
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the question is, so I'm imagining there's probably there's a wall surrounding the trench. Is there another wall surrounding the outside as well?
No, because like it's kind of like all your chips into one. Like we made this wall extra big, and there's a lot of things on it. Rather than there's probably like maybe rings to fall back to. So if you look, it.
So we're going like a reverse bossing say type thing.
Did you read the Two Towers?
I did not read the
book.
Two Towers.
So you did not read it.
So the director's extended cut of the movie though.
Yeah, the major difference between the way the Battle of Helm's Deep is set up and the way it's portrayed in the movie was they had like trenches, right, with like spears pointed out, and they would fall back, and they arrived like, so trenches they would fall behind, and then eventually they got pushed back into Helm's Deep instead of like sitting there at the wall. So I'm picturing it more like Helm's Deep, like if the wall falls, we just retreat and like hold up there, and everybody's dead anyways. So it doesn't like if this fails, like that's kind of the point. Is like this isn't going to fail because if it fails, we're dead. Like we don't run from here.
Okay.
Or we do run, but everybody dies anyway. Yeah. That's the kind of type of threat I'm picturing.
So, oh my god,
you don't plan to fail because then you fail.
Us talking about this makes me really want, like, it'd be super interesting to run an entire campaign just based off of, like, in this city. That'd be fun. Anyway, sorry.
Thank you to who is...
That is Colleen.
What's the word for somebody that's transcribing this?
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's as much for me as it is for you.
Yeah, I know. I would be typing it, but like I'm.
No, pour it out, babe. Pour it out. Get it out. So yeah, keep going.
So the big wall is on the inside surrounding the trench, and that's basically where all the stations are. I would imagine there's probably like a few stations on the outside, but not nearly as much as there is
like you remember Helm's Deep. There's like a bunker in the city behind the fortress, and like the women, the old, and like the sick go there, and like that, like everybody else that's outside of it. Like if the wall falls, you're all dead. Like that's I know that probably sounds like kind of like that's what officers are for. Is kind of like you stay here till you die, dude. Sorry, like.
Okay, so it says 5 fortress along 10-mile trench, a city behind each fortress. The commander of each fortress sits on the council. So where are the fortresses? Yeah. Are they in the city?
No,
I'm imagining. I need.
I'm gonna get paint real quick. Yeah, let me open paint.
No,
or Google.
I
don't. Google image. Yeah, I'll insert an image.
So imagine.
This is the best tool you.
Imagining, right?
I got you. Give me a second, Adam. I got you. Give me a second.
Yeah, I showed him Google drawings while we were at Will's wedding, and it's the best way to understand Ethan's thoughts.
No, I don't want that. It should probably be a pretty like governmentally speaking, it should probably be a very classical like the nobles are the officers because they're the educated and the wealthy.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of like real life because like you can get in as a low-ranking officer if you just have a bachelor's degree and just skip being enlisted.
Yeah. But it's more so like other people can get like nowadays there's easier ways for people to get educated. Back in the old times, the nobles were the only ones that were educated. Therefore, nobles were the only ones that were officers.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm just saying like that tracks. That's all I'm saying is that tracks.
I need to change. Where's the color? I want these to be this color.
And obviously, I feel like it doesn't need to be, but it's gonna be stated. I don't think the military will differ. Like what's it looking for? They will accept all genders. Like
yes.
Like obviously that's
that's why I used.
It doesn't need to be stated, but it's one of those things. Like if it's not stated, someone's gonna be like, oh, so this, and we're gonna be like, no. But yeah. You know.
That's why I said Spartan Nest is because they were very like the society as a whole on paper is prepared to fight this. We need everybody.
All hands on deck.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, not gonna lie, to make people hate the Sahagin more in our game, I was like, yeah, no, they're kinda super transphobic. Or not transphobic, homophobic, and people were like, oh! And I was like, They're awful.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
I mean, that's just, if you want someone to hate someone else, just make them do something that's hateful.
And that's why our little gay Sahagin couple is so cute, because they escaped the
So obviously, like the distance. So
It's a hooligan.
I swear to God. You want to see a hate crime?
Yeah. Say that like that one more time.
I will fly over to Colorado.
Do it, because then we can have fun. Just like go and hang out and stuff.
After I punch your face in for saying Sahuagin.
I can defend myself. I know Kung Fu.
I know Kung Fu. Show me. So, I inserted an image. So, like, the black line at the top is, like, the trench, right? And I labeled the wall, and then I labeled a fort, and I labeled a city, and then I just kind of connected them because 10 miles is not a large... In the grand scale of things, it's not a very large distance. So these things that close together, they would eventually become... And you need roadways to, like, transport troops. And, well, it's water, so it's, like, even more... Anyways,
is it
that's a whole nother... 10 miles long. 10 miles long.
Okay. Okay, so inside of the trench there is a wall, and then there is a city. Or no, and then there's a fortress, and then there's
and then the city behind the fortress.
Excuse me. So basically just one, like, over time, which at this point, like, within the continuity of my world, it would be, is just, it's effectively one just super long city.
Yeah, it's like, and I think actually the reverse bossing say makes sense now. It's a circle around the trench because they encircled the trench because they don't know, like, which side of the trench it's going to come out of, type thing, right? So yeah, like, that image probably would have been better than the way I drew it. Sorry, now that I get in hindsight. Yeah, now that I understand it. Yeah, so, like, a 10-mile long wall around the trench that, like,
So would we want to do a reverse bossing say then?
Yeah, the reverse bossing say here. I'll fix
it. It is a circle.
So that means we would probably have more than 5 cities then.
I mean,
not by much more. We probably have 6 cities. 2 on one side, 2 on the other, and then 1 on each end. Is what I would imagine.
Yeah, that's...
So like this, but instead of just 1 on one side, it'd be 2 on one side.
Yeah, I'm
How
doing
many
it right
fortresses are there?
I think we're going with 6. 2 on one side, 2 on another, and then 2 on either end. Not 1 on either end.
Okay. So there are a series of 6 fortresses, and on the other side of the fortresses, in the middle of the circle,
is the trench. So yeah, so like a reverse bossing say is a trench, then the big wall, and then fortresses, and then the city surrounding that.
Wait, so the city's on the outest?
Yeah, the city's on the outest side.
Oh, I fucked up.
So that's cool. So yeah, so trench, wall, fortress, and then city.
Oh, because in the very middle is the nightmares, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to rewrite my sentence.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wait, there are 5?
No, there are 6.
Oh, okay. I need to change this then. 6. Okay. There is a... Let me mark this as red for wrong. I will... You guys are getting some insights into how I write my GDDs.
It's all good. Hey, kitty.
Kitty.
So.
Oh, guys, look at Toby.
Toby.
He's asleep now, and then Richard is being a butt.
Oh, he looks at me.
Showing off his butt.
He's got his little chew in front of him. Oh my god.
Cooper's watching his dog door. Hi, Cooper.
We saw Cooper when you left earlier.
Yeah. So that's like a quick drawing is more closer to how it.
And then the cities around that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a pit of nightmares.
Yeah, basically. The pit of nightmares that they just fucking... can we name it that? I want to name it that now.
I'm just picturing the Sahagin. Like, the Sahagin and the Kraken are all down there, and eventually, like, man, this would be a really cool campaign.
What? Oh my god, what's that? Shit, am I thinking of My Little Pony? Did it go that hard?
I stopped watching after, like, season 3-ish.
I might be thinking of My Little Pony. There's this thing, where it's basically, like, I don't know if it's a pit, but they've got, like, this magical jail where they throw, like, villains, and I can't remember which, like, anime, cartoon.
I mean, that's a very common thing within fiction.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know, but like, I think I am specifically remembering My Little Pony right now.
That'd be funny, because the thing is, like in any fiction, like in any cartoon or fiction thing, that's easy to do that. Like, I think Vilgax in Ben 10 was like imprisoned on like a prison planet, basically.
I can't remember the name of the entire dimension in DC universe where they stick the Krypton bad guys and all that stuff.
Oh, they do that. They do that in Marvel too.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Marvel.
No,
universe.
this is like season 8, My Little Pony. It's where they throw like the little curly-haired bitch at the end. Oh, damn, you need.
I don't know who the curly-haired bitch is.
They chucked a pony into another dimension in my life.
She's like 8.
They went hard.
I know.
I mean, they had a big old Dragon Ball Z-esque fight at one point.
She was like, I can use the power of friendship for evil, and she became a very manipulative, like, asshole.
I like that character. That character's great.
What?
Watch Watch My Little Pony season 8. It goes hard.
Oh,
it even goes. It goes into xenophobia.
The movie's the last thing I've seen, so that's a lot to catch up on.
So we have been going
a pit of nightmares
for an hour now, and I know we try and keep these about an hour.
Pit of nightmares. We haven't even gotten to food and stuff. Ethan, you've been going so hard. We can keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Keep it going. Okay.
Do you want to? I'm okay with keep going if we all want to keep going.
I can keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
I can keep
You're
going.
so excited. And I'm about to write about the Pit of Nightmares.
The Pit of Nightmares. The Kraken. The Sahuagin.
I swear to
I think that's in that the Pit of Nightmares would be up in folklore, like a big story about what's the story about what's in the threat is like or what's in the pit is a definite folklore that's like in great like this is what we're defending from because they're gonna eat you or like something like
they're gonna kill everyone, they'll take over the planet and destroy it all.
Oh, do you need some? I'm gonna feed Cooper real quick.
Okay.
The Pit of Nightmares.
Built their lives around.
Basically, yeah.
They built.
Oh, I thought like he tripped or something.
Then around the trench, they.
Yeah. So the big folklore. Yeah, his dog food's right behind me. Behind my desk. You know, like this is his hangout spot because he can sit right over there and see people watching TV, and he can see me.
Oh,
nice.
That's cute.
So, is it a creation-based folklore? Is it? Is it like we're defending the world from hell because all the evil people live in this pit, and if they come out of this when doomsday comes, like. Have the Sahagin attacked? Is it like the wildlings? Like I go back to Game of Thrones. Like we know they're down there, and they attack every so often. Like once they're unified. This is Ethan throwing things at a wall and saying, "You guys."
No, I like it because obviously, after a while, a good chunk of people would be like, "We're not doing this anymore." If no one showed up, but like if people show up every once in a while, like a small section. I say small, like enough to make it a threat still, of of Sahuagin come up.
You're doing this to infuriate me, and it's working.
For sure I am.
Why don't you just not use the Oxford comma while you're at it?
I'm not a plebeian, alright?
I don't know how to use an Oxford comma.
The Oxford comma is like when you say and. Like you put a comma before the and.
Oh, so you shouldn't use an actual comma, you should use the Oxford comma? But that's a whole no. I'm not going to start that tangent. I'm trying to stay on task here.
That's fair.
Because the way that I'm seeing it so far is like the way that I thought we wrote it so far, since the Catasandra, in 700 years, there's been nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like a single nightmare has come out of there. Like,
I mean, Caphriel was born into the world, so you can't say nothing happened.
Oh lordy, that. Anyways,
Oh, I know what's down there now.
Oh yeah.
I know like the big thing that's down there now. I've just figured it out.
So yeah, like, what's this? I guess what type of story, like, folklore, stereotype story is surrounding the nightmare, and why are we defending?
Do we want to write down what's really in there, or only what they believe is down there?
I'm down for either.
Yeah, either one works.
Why not both?
Fair.
Yeah.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Because I'm thinking an aberration is down there.
That's pretty cool.
An aboleth. Sorry, my brain died. An aboleth is down there. Because those things are fucking terrifying. Colleen, you heard Alex and I just go off on what those things fucking were.
When was that?
I think it was you. I think that was you who were talking about it.
It might have been.
It was a bit. I think it was this after our past session. We were just doing a little talk and stuff. Alex and I were talking about aboleths, and they were like gigantic, like fish things. Kind of, and like if you drink water or just kind of swim in the water that surrounds them, you can get taken over by the aboleth. They're
fuck yeah.
They're like ancient beings. Like they've been around like within like actual like normal D&D lore. They've been around since before gods existed.
Oh yeah, I remember this conversation now. Yeah.
So in the OG story, like, so it's an aboleth that took over, like, you can tie the Sahagin into that, like the Murrow. They were taken over by these aboleths, and the Tritons like rose up and beat them down into this pit, and now they stand guard, fighting them back into the pit to make sure that they don't come back out and take things.
One could even say they fell in the pit.
Not. Oh, no.
Pit.
No. This pit was destined. We've got pits on the brain.
The pit.
Can somebody that's actually literate?
Fell in the pit.
Can somebody that's literate write that down and use flowy, good language?
I'm just gonna write down in all caps. We fell in the pit. That's under which section do I write?
Values. Values.
The pit. Is that under literature?
I mean,
it
would be technically, yeah.
Is it?
It would technically.
Well, I got inspired by folklore or folkways is different than folklore, so yeah.
By the way, Colleen, just so you know, these morals, values, teach lessons, teach one's culture, blah blah blah. That's only there to kind of describe what would go in this section, like what kind of literature stuff. That's just right. So technically, this would go up here, and this is all just
its
like
own
stuff.
Section.
Yeah, basically.
Its own little thing.
They fell in the pit. Is its own section.
They fell. Yes, they fell in the pit. Yeah. The pit.
A monster.
The pit. I wonder if there's a text called The Pit.
They built a trench. They built a trench.
No, they didn't build a trench.
Wall around the pit.
They built a wall around the trench.
All around the trench. So they built a wall around. Okay, you you added like an extra step.
That sounds like the pit with extra steps.
So this would go right here. Oh god! They built a wall around the trench, then around the wall they built 6 fortresses, then around the outskirts of the fortresses and the wall, the Tritons forged their city. Technically, it was originally 6 different cities.
Yeah, they've all just kind of like expanded
cities,
and yeah.
And then over time the cities turned into one big city.
Yeah.
Station at each fortress is a commander, and each commander sits on the council. All right. Excuse me.
All right, the literature section's looking dope.
What is this? Slack. Gosh dang it. I love you, Colleen. Okay.
I'm trying to remember what goddess they. What was you sent me the goddess, Colleen? 1 second.
Oh,
Let me go to persona.
To be fair, do you remember we don't have to take their.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Gods.
I'm trying to think of something.
Especially since what I like to do is I like making my gods based around their culture and not just like this god exists and does stuff and the culture is separate from their god, because that's not how gods work in the real world.
Yeah.
So the question is, would they have a god of war?
I'm trying to. Are they like? That's what I was thinking. Are they monotheistic? Are they like?
They feel like they would be monotheistic to me.
That means one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Polytheistic would mean multiple.
That just because like polytheistic cultures feel a little bit more wishy-washy to me. Like, yeah, and we have a god for this and a god for this.
I mean, it doesn't have to always be like that. Like, for example, the Dragonborn only have 2 gods. That would still technically consider them polytheistic.
It would, but like, it feels cleaner. Like when it's 2. When you start getting into a pantheon, it's like.
I mean, the lizard folk have a god for each sense, because they believe that. They believe that the gods granted them the gift of their senses. So they have a god for sight, a god for hearing, a god for smelling, a god for taste, a god for feeling, and we, in my world, we're giving. To be fair, we need to actually work on this more. We're not done yet. But in my world, the lizard folk also have kind of like a magic sense, right? Like it's not like
a third eye.
Kind of like a 6th sense, right? Like they can sense magic. Like they can't. It's just innately they can't go like, oh, just from like feeling around they can't go, oh, that's that spell, that's that spell. They're like, magic is here. There is magic. I can sense the magic.
They can spidey sense that shit with the third eye.
Basically. So like yeah. So like polytheistics don't have to be super like
I'm picturing kind of an like. Our god selected our champion, and our god's champion led us in pushing the nightmares into the pit.
Mm-hmm.
If that is what I'm... That's what I'm picturing right now. Is a, like...
Man, we're going on a stint of monotheistic cultures lately.
Really? I don't know.
The Duergar, goblins have 1 god.
It's been so long since we did the Duergar, and I didn't like the last like religion I really remember getting into was the Wood Elves, and they had like 6 gods.
It's just so easy to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's cool. I was done.
Oh, I was just saying like, it's so easy to do. Like if a culture is like somewhat kind of like. I don't know. If they have that sort of like, meh quality to them, then it's really easy to do monotheistic. Like the Duragar, those are the are they the nice dwarves or are they the
No, they're the Underdark
the
dwarves
bitchy
who
dwarves?
take slaves
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're the drow dwarves.
Basically.
So, well, and then what was the other monotheistic culture?
Goblins.
It's so easy for like dickish races to make them monotheistic. Are you seeing a pattern here? Because it's just like, yes, because like there's so many. If you have like a lot of sources telling you, you know, where's like information or many ways to interpret it, then there's gonna be more like squabbling on the inside. But like when there's one source, it's much easier to manipulate and stuff. And I feel like the manipulation comes more from the people who interpret it, and there's one person to blame, and then like there's less ways to challenge that information.
Mm-hmm.
Personally,
I mean, to be fair, we're also going to be making hill dwarves and mountain dwarves monotheistic as well.
Yeah, I know. It just it just feels like it just feels like it's so easy to make bad guys monotheistic because it's like, yes, of course they are.
Did I spell that right?
Yes.
Holy.
I'm proud of you.
I like how you're so like, what?
He's so proud of himself.
You're so happy.
Oh my god.
You did it, bud. You made it.
It's spelled monotheistic.
You'll never misspell anything ever again.
Monotheistic tsundere.
This is a really weird trend of like words that Ethan can spell right. And so yeah, like I've got us like the one story that is just like he chose somebody, they led us into pushing things into the pit. God gave us the plan to push things into the pit, and then his like.
That's like my strategy for cleaning my room. Is like, I pushed it in the closet.
That was a look.
So you know how like I talked about, the fog in the Megalodon movie, right?
Yeah.
Like a thick fog at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So, what if it's you've seen like blood in the water, right? Like in the movies.
I've not.
Like
you mean like is that an actual?
Not the name of the movie, but like no. Like blood. How blood looks when it's in water.
Yeah, it looks like all.
Honey, like... I'm a girl. Of course, I've seen that.
I mean, I've also seen that in fiction. Yes.
Fiction.
I'm just picturing like a thick red fog of blood, and like that's how their god, like from the sacrifice of all the Triton and their god's champion dying, pushing these things into the pit, it like made this red fog that helps keep the things underneath.
Yo, that's fucking metal as shit. Like,
yeah,
I like it. I like that a lot.
I dig it.
Somebody write that down that has a working spacebar, please.
So it's a period blood.
That would go under that would go into religion, but it wouldn't go under their god specifically.
Period blood what? Period blood cloud.
How about we name it something that's definitely appropriate for when eventually I publish this stuff. I guess it would probably be under like blood cloud, blood fog, cloud. Blood fog.
Blood
oh
fog.
God, what sounds better, blood fog or blood cloud?
Fog, because fog's thicker than cloud.
Yeah, so blood.
Like that's the story is from the death that ensued in the battle to force these things down. Their god turned it into this fog to disorient things.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so blood fog, blood fog.
You do that, Adam. I'm gonna run to the bathroom super fast.
Okay. That's a tactless joke. I'm not gonna say that. A blood fog coats the the top of the trench. This was done by God, using the sacrifice of
their champion and the loss of life.
I'm pushing the
nightmare.
There we go. Yes. Pushing the nightmare back into We've changed topics a couple times, so I have to put the trench to make sure that it's specifically in the trench.
Yep.
Blood fog coats the top of the trench. This was done by God name, using the sacrifice of their champion and loss of life from pushing the nightmare back into the trench.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Metal. I like it.
All right. What is this God's domain stuff? What do they primarily focus on?
War, storm.
Mm-hmm.
What are the other domains?
I'm not looking like domains. I'm talking like what does this God do? What do people like when worshiping this God? They approve of this. I keep going back to Dragonborn, but that's the first one I worked on, so I know that the most. Dragonborn have a god of light because the whole thing is the light.
If we look at the values loyalty, steadfast, vigilance,
so the god would be basically let's give this person a name. So that way we can talk about this god instead of saying the god. What would the name of this god be?
So that's why I asked you what language you chose for primordial, because all our other gods we have found names in the language that you selected.
So I recently discovered that if you speak primordial, you speak all the dialects of primordial, which is all 4: Aquan, Terran, Ignis, and
Aaron?
Probably.
Orin?
Orin, that's it. I thought they were all separate languages.
I thought they were too.
They're not. I learned that because I was making Drin's character sheet on Roll20, and when I had to put in his thing for primordial, it said Roll20.net. It said, and I quote, once it loads, something about thingamabob and stuff. This is my loading song. I sing it all day long. La 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 la. La 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 la. Alright, here it is. So it scrolling song. Okay, it says you can speak, read, and write in primordial. Knowing this language allows you to understand and be understood by those who speak its dialects: Aquan, Orin, Ignan, and Terran. So apparently, those are just dialects of primordial.
Huh. I did not know.
Because I think, elementals,
Elementals speak them specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of like... I guess it's sort of like if you were to speak the Queen's English and then talk to a Cockney.
I want some tea and biscuits.
What was I going to say? So yeah, if you choose a language to base your primordial on, that makes naming him a lot easier.
I haven't thought about this. Wow, God, this is gonna be really tough.
Side note: what did I miss?
We just wrote out a blood fog coats the top of the bottom of the trench.
Well, I'd imagine the top because the wall would be
What's
around
in the pit?
it.
What did I miss about the pit?
The blood fog coats the bottom of the trench. Basically, we were just making that.
Oh.
We were just writing out that last two sentences, and then started talking about the god.
Oh, do you want me to pull up like an Aquan translator?
Well, because
or a deep speech translator.
No, I don't really like using those translators online.
Yeah, we had.
Oh God, what am I basing this language off of? I haven't thought about that. There are so many languages, and I don't know like 99% of them.
I can pull up a list of languages for you.
Of real world languages.
Oh, real world languages?
Yeah, because I kind of base languages off of other languages. Like Elvish is kind of based off of French, as example.
Yeah.
All right. So, as far as a list of real world languages, we have way more than I thought.
Yeah. No, there's billions.
Why not Tagalog? Tagalog.
Tagalog?
What's that?
Like
Yeah.
Filipino?
That's what they speak in the Philippines.
Oh, I did not know that. That's good to know.
I cannot pronounce that word, by the way.
I don't know how that sounds.
Hold on, let me... It's Tagalog. Tagalog. Tagalog? Whenever someone who can actually speak it says it, it sounds nothing like how I'm saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Tagalog.
Like, my mind just went to, like, Greek, and then I thought about the Islanders, and, like, Tagalog just seems like something that...
That's true.
You wouldn't... It was just like, that's kind of random, but, like, then I thought about the Pacific Islanders, and kind of...
Filipino is a language.
It is?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
It is.
Oh,
wait, what's... Oh, what Pidgin? Pidgin, English.
I don't know that.
Pidgin English is, it's not technically a language, it's more of a dialect, but, it's a Hawaiian one.
Oh, okay.
I know that because there is a Bible that is specifically written in Pidgin English, and they refer to, God as, like, the big boss man in the sky. And it's amazing.
That's what people have been calling it for fucking generations, so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
Kevin just messaged me and said it's Hawaiian.
I was about to say, that doesn't sound right. Just calling it Pidgin English doesn't sound right.
It's Pidgin.
Oh,
so it's not like Pidgin.
That's a lot better then.
Yeah, so side note, I'm sending you that Bible because it's amazing. You need to read it.
Okay, I've never actually read the normal Bible, so.
It's
bad
awesome.
Catholic boy.
Adam is not in that group.
Oh, fuck. Well, there you go.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Alex is gonna look in the group and be like, what?
You know what? Alex is a Catholic boy. He can read it too.
Yeah, read it.
Yeah, we can base
Catholicism is kind of like in... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're first, because that's a tangent, and then we'll go back to normal stuff.
It, like, religiously, Catholicism is an interesting one. Like, the way it's... Because technically Catholicism is monotheistic, but then you have all the saints.
Oh yeah, we've had this... Colleen and I've had this conversation. It was Alex,
right?
We're just like, there's that, and then there's also the fact that, like, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are, like...
Yeah!
They're all the same person, but they're not at the same time. Yeah.
And so
other
you
Abrahamic
have...
religions don't have that.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck is this polytheistic bullshit? And then, you know, like, Christians are like, it's not polytheistic bullshit, they're all the same, but they're not. And they're like...
Yeah. So I just had like the champion is like their version of the Virgin Mary or what it like.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be more like Jesus though?
Technically probably Jesus, but like.
Or would that be better compared to Muhammad though? Because he's like a prophet.
I mean, Jesus was also a prophet.
Yeah, but he was also the son of God and technically God. Because he's the great paradox.
Again, we're getting into some fucking
it's very
complicated stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, to
Let's
be fair...
just say Jesus.
But yeah, like, the champion was, like, a prophet-type figure, and there's, like, every, like, major battle, like, where the Nightmare has tried to come out of the pit, there has been, like, a champion-esque figure, and they're saints in the pantheon.
So there's been multiple champions. Ooh!
Like, a champion is not so much of a person, but kind of a, like,
title.
Dragon Age-type title that, like, specifically Dragon Age 2, if you played that.
I've played Dragon Age 2. I haven't beaten it yet.
Yeah.
I'm so close. I literally have, like, I have the DLC missions, and then that mission, and then I'm done.
I'm going to fill up my water and use the bath. Go ahead. Yeah. Real quick before I do that, Colleen.
Do you earn the title of champion by doing that thing? Like, by beating Dragon Age 2, essentially?
I know.
No, it's kind of like a it's a pre, so, like, something happens and they realize, like, oh wait, you fill this role. So something happens and it's like you fill this role, like you are the champion, and then if you die, like there's a pantheon of champions, and they're the different like saints, is what I'm picturing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The Ackerman come back because I have
been chosen. Farewell, my friends.
Because saints are only anointed as saints at anointed.
At
that's
death.
Probably the wrong. Yeah, at death.
Yeah.
Like you're not.
And even then, it's not right
chosen.
after that, because there's like a whole like process they have to go through.
Yeah.
Of like I know.
Yeah. So like to be pre-chosen as a saint or as like a champion which is essentially a saint, is like a. What if it's a dud? Like, this kind of reminds me of Troll Hunters, kind of, because there's like they pick the Troll Hunters picked when the other one dies, and there are some Troll Hunters that are just huge disappointments and no one talks about them because they like died like that.
I feel bad. I'm biased against the show Troll Hunter for a really stupid reason. So the reason I'm biased against it. Not that I think it's a bad show. I just innately just not like it anymore. Because I got sick. Well, I got sick one day, right? And
that's when I binged it.
So I got sick, and they came over, and they were like, "Hey, we've heard good things about Troll Hunters," and I was like, "So have I. Let's watch Troll Hunters." So we watched like an episode or two of Troll Hunters, and I was like, "Hey, I've heard really good things about Miraculous Ladybug. Can we watch that like for an episode or two?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll do that." You know what? I'm the sick one, right? So we get like not even a minute into the first episode, and they're like, "We don't want to watch this," and they forced me to get off of it. So I'm just innately biased against Troll Hunters.
Aww.
And I feel bad, because I've heard really good things about that show, but just every time I hear that show uttered, I just suddenly just get I don't want to watch that show feeling, so.
Aw. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Both of those shows are awesome.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoy Miraculous Ladybug.
It is a great show, and so is Troll Hunters. Both are very good.
So there's a reason, Ethan, by the way, we're talking about this. It's not it's not fully just a tangent.
Because Troll Hunters, it kind of reminded me of the champions. Like, so saints are actually determined at death to be saints, and there's a huge thing. And then Troll Hunters, it reminded me of Troll Hunters because like you're determined like when the previous Troll Hunter dies, like the little spirit thingy.
Like the Avatar?
Kinda. Like
okay. I'd say kind of, but yeah, because the Avatar is chosen by
at birth. Like
spirit
it's
at
when
birth,
the next person dies. It's like you're already existing as a person, and this little like spirit floats into you. Like it kind of reminded me of that. And like there are some Troll Hunters who are just huge fucking disappointments that nobody talks about because they're like, oh, that guy. Like they literally show like in the show like, guy, because like they died like first mission. Oh, he dead. Like, that guy is a huge fucking disappointment. So I'm just imagining some champions are just like, ooh, that champion.
It's an interest. I don't know that.
Because like if you're predetermined at birth, like to be like this champion, and you just fail immediately, like people are just gonna be like, ew.
Yeah, but the idea is if they fail, they lose, and like the nightmare escapes, and like the world's a shit is a shithole.
So this would be more like Avatar then.
Yeah, more of like, yeah. I think you're on a better path with like they die, and then it's kind of like, oh wait, like they were probably like that. Their death and what happened is probably enough to like be like we're going to make them a champion and put them in the pantheon of like.
So it is more along the lines of Saints, where like after their death, they were like, yes, we all agreed this person definitely was the champion of this. Of right now.
So it is more similar to Sainthood.
Yeah.
So it's not predetermined. It's like they did so much. Like, damn, this guy's a champion.
Yeah.
We are the champions. No time for losers.
Except all of us lost us a point because we're all dead now. Because we.
Well, that's like
what if there was like a Mulan thing where you could talk to the previous champions in like a little circle of things and you just break your back?
Like I put up in values like vigilance, steadfastness, and self-sacrifice.
Vigilance.
Yeah, they champions of like they were.
Steadfast.
Yeah.
So.
It is a fun idea.
Do we want to have like a Mulan style like room where you can commune with the previous champions? Because that'd be fucking dope, dude.
I mean, there's ways to like contact other plane. Is that the name of the spell?
Yeah.
Well, there's contact other plane, which is like, yeah. But then there's also that one spell that Alex let me have because he's the best. Thank you, Alex. Called Seance. But then, if they're already tethered to the material plane, then it's
yeah. Champions are normally named sometime after their death, like after the battle is cleared, and like because they were doing this long before the Cassandra. It's just like, yeah. It's just been a really long time, which
has probably made a few people very paranoid.
Yeah, very paranoid, and other people are like, why? Like, it's been 700 years. Like, they probably didn't like something happened to them when that thing happened like 3 generations ago. You know. I am kind of running out of steam. I'm gonna just be real.
No, that's fair. I think this might be a good place to end for today, because obviously we're not going to get through every single culture in one sitting. Especially if we're going to sit and make ranks at some point. There's no green earth. We're going to finish this all in one. So I think this is a good place to stop. I will definitely bleep out a couple of those things, a couple names I said, because it's just common courtesy for the internet. So I think that's it. I think we're good. Thank you to the few people who came in and watched. I appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next Saturday for our Modest Guild. So I love each and every one of you. Oh, sorry, go on.
Also, I think that our friends Fates and Fables are going to be streaming soon. If not, let me double check on them.
We could definitely just drop in and say hi real quick.
Yeah, that's true. Let me check and see if they're on.
I think raid is the official term.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if they're on.
Yeah, to do that, I have to like go into our thing.
I can do that.
Oh, you can do it because you're logged into our Twitch.
I'm logged in, indeed. Oh, they are. Wait, I think they're online. Yeah. So let me drop in so we can raid them. We are gonna raid them. Na, 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 na.
Look at us doing fancy things on Twitch.
Right? The first time we've raided anything ever.
We gon' raid. Woo. Get ready.
Where are we dropping, boys?
Where are we dropping?
Where we dropping?
It's funny, I didn't play that game.
It applies to a couple. It applies more to a genre now than like a game itself.
It's fair.
All right.
I definitely want to rename Champ. Well, or at least like convert it over to this world's version of Primordial.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just leaving it as Champion.
Yeah, but I mean, like right now, it's a good name we have for.
Yeah, this is a good. Yeah, it's a good name.
Oh, it'd be very interesting if the champion wasn't always like a high-ranking officer.
No, it definitely wouldn't be. And that goes down another whole rabbit hole that I could talk on for a very long time.
That's fair.
As Colleen figures this out, it definitely wouldn't be. Because if you look like, yeah.
I remember seeing this yesterday, and then I'm not seeing the same. Let me.
I've never rated before, so.
Oh wait, I see it now. I see it now. I just had to go full screen. All right, you guys ready to raid?
Yeah, sure.
Let us go. We raid in.
Is there a link we have to click
5, 4, 3,
if you see it up in chat, like don't click
1.
Leave.
Okay.
Boop. Raid now. All right.
There we go. Oh god, there he goes. Boop. We're raiding. You know, usually I just realized normally streamers have like, yo, put this in the chat so they know it's us. And I'm like, we don't have that.
we don't have like a lot of subscribers yet.
Nah, that's fair.
Like raid with the emote.
Yeah. All right, so we raided. Go check out our friends over at Fates and Fables. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. I love each and every one of you.
Oh no, the stream's like over, dude. Everything like. If you've